What I think it will do, instead of actually causing more conformity and have people emitting less carbon, it'll create a shadow industry of measurement and consulting around this industry while people debate materiality when they get caught.
Got it.
That is not the point of this.
Hey folks, welcome back to Chamath Palihapitiya Zone. Before we move on to the video, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure that the post notifications are turned on so that you never miss a video from us. Without further ado, let's dive in. Chamath Palihapitiya, a well-known SPAC advocate, was one of the first to support Tesla, Bitcoin, and spaceflight. Now he's spearheading the charge that climate change initiatives could lead to a worldwide trade war. He tweeted on April 8th, "Imagine a new trade war between the US and China, or imagine an increasingly aggressive European Union fighting climate change. The simplest solution to enact both would be a carbon tariff. Companies aren't prepared for this. Capital markets have no sense of it." Palihapitiya supports carbon taxes but admits that his private investment firm Social Capital will need to change its calculations. Beware of family enterprise. He's taken notice of a European Union decision to put a carbon fee on items imported from countries with laxer carbon emission rules. The EU refers to the policy as a broader adjustment mechanism. According to legal firm Norton Rose Fulbright, it'll be formally suggested by the summer, with a heavy focus on steel, cement, and chemicals. As the host of the next G7 meeting, the United Kingdom has shown interest in carbon taxes, as well as UN-hosted climate summit in Glasgow in November. The United States' position on climate tariffs is unclear. President Biden is enthusiastic about the notion, but the US has yet to state its opinion. Canada is considering imposing carbon taxes and donating the proceeds to the poor. Carbon levies are also an option. Carbon tariffs are seen by many in Europe as a method to preserve the domestic business while also helping the poor world, which would be harmed by them. The UK has expressed worry that unless carbon prices are implemented, its companies would be forced to relocate to nations with less stringent immigration policies. The EU includes an emissions trading mechanism as part of its climate package, which sets a price that corporations must pay if their emissions exceed agreed-upon limitations. According to the US climate envoy John Kerr, proposals to require carbon disclosure on financial markets are in the works. The EU carbon price has risen by nearly half to over 44 euros per ton in the year to early April, significantly raising the cost of carbon levies. Importers and exporters want to show how much carbon is used in manufacturing may face difficult audit procedures as a result of such a system. Palihapitiya inquires, "Love that iPhone case? The cost will be determined by how much coal was used in China to produce it. More coal means higher tariffs and more costs." The majority of corporations recognize the importance of addressing climate change. According to a poll of 450 companies conducted by Dutch bank ING, 62% of respondents will most likely relate executive remuneration to environmental goals. Carbon pricing, as Palihapitiya points out, might be a shock to everyone, particularly developing world exporters. Australia, a major steel exporter, has promised to oppose the proposal. In a July 18th tweet, Chamath Palihapitiya urged his Twitter followers to provide frameworks for deploying huge sums of capital into the decarbonization, sustainability, and climate change venture arenas. "We are grateful to Chamath for the opportunity for the ongoing awareness that he and Social Capital bring to the issue of sustainability that affect our short and long-term vision." So what's the solution to all of this? How can we tackle climate change and as not pay for the carbon tariffs?
Well, I think that the responsibility ultimately comes from the end consumer, buyer, customer of a product. Because if they have an alternative that offers them those trade-offs, whether it's at a higher price or a lower price or the same price, and they adopt it, then these companies really pay attention, right? Because ultimately, what they really care about is their downstream profitability.
Fortunately, we already have a clear solution that is right in front of us. Literally, solar energy is safe, limitless, and easily accessible. Although skeptics may argue that the sun only shines for half of the day, these misconceptions are no longer valid. Solar is only one component of a clean technology value chain that has the potential to change the energy landscape. Solar-powered homes can already run independently off the grid by including on-site battery storage. Solar is now a realistic choice for 70% of American families because of this combination. Significantly, under this concept, each home or community becomes its own mini utility independent of the sputtering power grid. The electricity generated can also replace natural gas usage over time. For example, if solar had been installed during the Texas power outage in 2021, we could have averted statewide outages that resulted in hundreds of lives and $200 billion in property damages. It's also worth mentioning that a decentralized solar system would be beneficial, extremely beneficial in fact, to the environment. The power industry in the United States now accounts for 27% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the country. A widespread switch to solar would not only drastically reduce carbon emissions in our power system, but it would also enable carbon reduction in other sectors such as transportation and commercial buildings. Despite these obvious advantages, solar power is only used in about 4% of American homes. The cost has been a huge factor. In the United States, the average household solar system costs between $25,000 and $30,000. But why is it so costly? The solar business themselves are a major factor in the cost issue. Residential solar installers are essentially construction firms. Panels and labor are two of the most expensive commodities, indicating that they are heavily leveraged and have a poor margin. Many of them have resorted to selling customer credit products in order to stay afloat. Both of these business models are inefficient at scaling, making mainstream adoption prohibitively expensive. The domestic solar model, on the other hand, does not have to be this way. A solar company can run like a software corporation by isolating and reducing many of the soft costs and, as a result, giving a cheaper product to consumers. Whether it's cell phones or electric vehicles, history demonstrates that as the price of the good product falls, adoption rises. However, time is a luxury we cannot afford, especially with wars raging and the climate change accelerating at an alarming rate. So why not make the largest infrastructure investment of our lives to ensure energy security? Assuming a high end of $30,000 per household for solar panels and battery storage, which may be up to 30% cheaper, depending on different models, the US government may have to spend $2.1 trillion to fund residential solar across the country. Taking it a step further, the federal government might invest hundreds of billions in the production of solar panels, transforming a fledgling industry into a homegrown powerhouse. To put it another way, for roughly the same cost as President Biden's Build Back Better program, America would become entirely energy independent, with practically every household receiving electricity for free. Not to mention the millions of jobs produced in the United States from production to sales to installation and maintenance. In the end, we can't afford to wait for the perfect solution. The ideal solution is already in place. We can target future capital investment on the next leap in energy technology while we install solar in the coming years.
So my point is that we have a lot of work to do to solve these problems. I would rather see, again, raw capitalism solve this problem. And I think in climate change, the most productive thing we could do is lower the barriers for trapped unproductive capital to get into the hands of really amazing scientists and entrepreneurs who are building things that can measurably remove carbon from the environment.
With this, we've come to the end. What are your thoughts on this? Do let us know in the comment section below, and subscribe for more content just like this. And share it with all your friends, and don't forget to smash that like button, and also press the bell icon so you get notified about our new videos. Until then, fellas.